call me Vergos. Thank y'all. I came here from Memphis. I was born and raised there. I lived away for about 12 years. I lived in like Chicago, New York, moved back when the pandemic started because I didn't want to wait around in urine. There wasn't a good time for that. And I've been living there for about like the last 3 years. And it's great being back in Memphis because it's nice being in a place where this is considered not having an accent. You know, up in New York, this sounds pretty hick, but down here, you know, people are like, oh shit, you went to college. A lot of Southerners in New York, they'll lose their accents because they're trying to be meteorologists and shit, you know? And nobody wants their weather from something like, it sounds like they don't believe in climate change, but 7-day forecast, whatever it is you pray it's gonna be, you know? But I kept mine. I kept mine because my folks ran a barbecue restaurant in Memphis, and I felt like if it didn't have an accent, people wouldn't think the barbecue was any good, you know? Barbecue's the food of the illiterate people. That's why there's 12 different ways to spell it, you know? The dictionary was 3 towns away and they had to put something on the sign. Well, there's a B, I know it starts with that. I know there's a second B, it ends in Q, so we'll put a Q, they'll know what we're talking about, they'll smell it, you know? Now get over there, we put 2 bathtubs together to make this shit. So, you know, like, so if you sound like your graphic designer, you know, people are gonna think, oh, he puts avocado on it and rolls it up in a pancake. So, you know, they don't wanna deal with that shit. But, my granddad started the barbecue restaurant. He was a Greek immigrant and moved to Memphis. And then my dad, my aunt, my uncle ran it, and I grew up working in it. But people want me to talk about it, but I get uncomfortable talking about it because like it did pretty well. And so we had like a little bit of money growing up, but I went to public school. And so a lot of people thought it was like white collar wealth, you know, lawyer wealth, accountant wealth. But we were barbecue rich, which is a different spectrum of rich people. We're more like people who win both showcases on The Price is Right, you know? Or like people who get a settlement for mesothelioma, you know? It spends differently, you know? Like white collar wealth spends their money on shit that solves their problems, you know, like diagnosing their mental illnesses or black toilets and they don't gotta look at their turds no more, you know? You've seen them. Barbecue rich spends his money on shit that just causes more problems. Like a lot of pontoon boats catching fire in the garage, a lot of unregulated trampolines, a lot of, hey, get in the car, your granddad bought a goat. We were cleaning out my granddad's closet after he died, and we found a bunch of rifles in the closet, and one of the rifles was solid gold and had a Budweiser logo on it. It was a golden Budweiser rifle, which I only assume is what they used to put down the Clydesdales when they get laminitis. You know, like, oh no, Sparkles deserves better than this. Get the one out the case. All right, if you're a horse crowd, fuck you. He had a horse. The horse's name was Mike. That's barbecue rich. He just stood in the rain. It looked sad. Okay. But yeah, I'm good to be back doing stand-up. After the pandemic, I had to get new hobbies during the pandemic. I had to go back to the old ones, which was board games. Don't scoff at me. This is real shit, all right? I got serious about my board games. My favorite board game is Scrabble. And that surprised people in New York because to them I sound like my favorite board game is putting boogers on printer paper. But I'm for real at Scrabble because when I was in middle school, I read this book on the competitive Scrabble culture where these dudes would like memorize the dictionary, right? And they compete in these national tournaments, and the personal sum is like $100,000. And I'm like, maybe this is my ticket to fame and fortune. We've all made mistakes in our life, right? And so I heard that Memphis had a Scrabble tournament, and when I read these books, these people were pretty good. So I spent all summer getting good at Scrabble. I learned Q words without U's, words with no vowels, words with all vowels. I memorized the 96 two-letter words, the 512 three-letter words. I got the word stems. You know what these are? These are 6-letter word combinations where if you had a 7th letter, it's likely to yield a bingo. That's when you use all 7 tiles and you get a 50-point bonus. Real game changer in the Scrabble community. So, for instance, like the word satire, you can add 22 different letters to the word satire and get a bingo. Satire plus A, you get the word asteria. Satire plus B, you get the words barites, baiters, turbias. Satire plus G, you get the word seagirt. I've been accused of being autistic. And the day came when I was to compete in the Memphis Scrabble tournament. And you guys ever over-prepared for something? The Memphis Scrabble Club was held once a month on Tuesday at a Chick-fil-A out in the suburbs. Chick-fil-A, we all know, being the most misspelled of the fast food franchises. And it was me and a bunch of elderly women who still wanted something to do with their afternoons, but they were too Christian to go to the nickel slots and gamble. And I made them wish they'd never learned to read. All right. Now, most of them just wanted to tell me I looked like their grandson, and I was about halitosis, be like, sorry, yo, bad legs, I don't talk to losers. I was rude in middle school. I was listening to 3-6 Mafia, and I shouldn't have been. And there was some talent, but there was some talent there. There was one woman, her name was Doris, right? And we meet in the championship game. And I open with the word spore, and she attaches the word tetra to it, made the word tetraspore. So we respected each other. Right? And it was a super tight game the whole time, 5-point difference. She was up, I was down, I was up, she was down. Late in the game, I made a huge mistake. I play a word that has an S in it, and the S ends up being about 5 tiles above a triple word score. Now, if you don't know Scrabble, S, real easy to build up. A triple word score, the most valuable tile. So I was asking for it, you know? I was like the Romans leaving their flank open at the Battle of Cannae, you know? Or like you trying to do yoga in front of your uncle when he's being the tickle monster, you know? I gave 2 references so all education levels know where I'm coming from. And Doris is looking at the S, right? She's looking at her tiles. She's looking at the S, she's looking at her tiles. She's thinking, I'm like, shit, she's got the talent, she's got the drive, she's about to drop the hammer. And she's looking, and she's thinking, and she played the word moody. No S, M-O-O-D-Y, at the opposite end of the board for only 11 points. And I felt like the guillotine had missed. I felt like there was opportunity there. Like, why? What was their deal? She had the talent. And I'm trying to figure out what her like move was. So I'm looking at Moody, M-O-O-D-Y, and I'm looking at the S. I'm looking at Moody, M-O-O-D-Y, and I'm looking at the S. And I finally figured out what her play was, what her play could have been. And I looked in her eyes, and there was a moment where I knew that she knew that I knew that for 33 points, she could have played the word sodomy. But she held back. She didn't want to blaspheme in the Chick-fil-A in front of her friends. I got mad because I've been training for this moment. I finally found somebody that can challenge me. She's come at me and kick gloves like, you'll be Scrabble champion. You got to get your mind dirty, you know? It's like, you think Jesus is going to get mad if you play sodomy? I got news for you, Doris. There's no Jesus in Scrabble. It's a proper noun. You're not allowed to play it. So I spelled squirt for 45. I won $12 and change, went to go watch Rush Hour 2. You guys have a great night. Give it back up for your host.